ask if there's a time when you do step into the alpha. And is there a time, Brandy, when you just love him to take the reins? Is there a time when you want to be submitted, if you will?
Oh, yeah, but I don't know. Is your podcast?
Yes. The answer is yes. The answer is, I'd love to talk about that because that's a big part of where this shows up. I mean, when you do the deep dive in the research, if you're talking about The Way of the Superior Man, as an example, a book that's been shared a lot, in the alpha world or in when you talk to sex therapists or relationship therapists, a lot of it is you need to step in and own your alpha because the true feminine spirit really, really wants to be controlled and taken care of. Even if they say they don't, it's like, right? I mean, that's an interesting place to play. So, I mean, my question is there a time to be alpha for you? And if we want to take it to a romantic or intimate setting, I'd love to go there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to tackle the bedroom first.
Yeah.
Because I really do think that...
Tackle the bedroom.
I really do think
is this telling us a lot, Brandy, the fact that you want
to... I think that's a great question.
And
I would give you pushback on that and say that's not really an alpha move in the bedroom. Because what a beta does is a beta listens and knows and is a giver. And I think when you talk about everything according to intimacy, when you talk to women about intimacy, there is that fantasy of like, but there's also the reality of if I don't feel connected to my husband or my spouse or my partner, if I don't feel that connection first, I don't want to do anything. And that's when you see a lot of women that are in my groups. I've seen a lot of women that are like, oh gosh, I have to make sure I have sex with my husband this week. I've never felt that. Like, I'm excited because there's this intimacy that he has created. And there's this place in the bedroom where it's not about him, it's about me. And to me, that is the most alpha move you could ever make. So,
yeah.
Man, that's a really good point, Brandy.
And I would say there is part of that. There, you do have to tap into confidence. I think an unhealthy beta, of which I probably was for a lot of years, there were a lot of insecurities that I had to work on that didn't allow me to have the confidence I needed to have to own myself in certain spaces, and the bedroom was one of them. So that's where definitely being in tune with my partner, communicating about sex. I think just a lot of unhealthy men just require and demand sex. And so you could say that's a gruff, very forward move. But if that's all it is, and you're not talking about it, and you're not being attentive to the other person, and you're not finding out what they like and exploring their fantasies and their passions, and it becomes a reciprocal thing where we're both listening to one another. Brandy talks about kind of the thing that won her over the first time I gave you a kiss was a bit of...
It was an alpha move.
It was a bit of an alpha move.
Our first date, we'd been friends for many years and just hadn't crossed that line. And he asked me at the end of the night, can I kiss you goodnight? I was like, no, we've been friends since college. That's just not going to happen. And he walked off from my doorstep and he turned around and he goes, yeah, but one of these days you're going to ask me to kiss you. And he just had this air of confidence about him. And I was like, get over here. Let's do it. And that was it. We never left each other's side after that.
That's awesome.
And it was like this confidence that he had.
We haven't spent a night apart since. It's been a wonderful...
that's really great. So, I mean, truly being beta is not the absence of confidence.
No.
Right.
No, I think it's so funny because I think we have a spectrum. And then there's the unhealthy beta that tends to go to self-pity, shame, passive aggressiveness. There's the overinflated alpha who's just ego driven, everybody else out of the way, doesn't think of others. But when they both get healthy, they look a lot like each other and they're here in the middle and they embrace both sides of that confidence, that strength, but also that emotional attunement where I come in after a long day and I want to be able to check in with my wife and be present with my children and be an emotionally available partner. I'm not just, it said for years, men were just the financial providers, where women are out there killing it in the business world. They need an emotional provider. And who's going to show up and make deposits in that emotional account? And who's going to get on the floor and play with the kids and not just hop in the recliner and be like, I did my part. I put the check in the account. I'm good now.